Welcome back, folks. Sport Federation TV, nice to have you along. Of course, we carry on talking sport in the Western Cape. Well, as you know, and if you've been watching the show, you will know that one of the sport codes within the provincial structures, it's a national sport code as well as an international sport code. And we've done many interviews here on Federation TV with transplant sports. Marianne Johnson has joined us on the show. Marianne, welcome to Federation TV.
Thank you, JP.
First time for you to be on the show with us. You're a transplant sport athlete.
Yes, that's correct.
Tell us a little bit about that. How did that get started for you?
I had my kidney transplant in May of 2019.
Yeah.
And I was aware of the organization and I joined them and participated in one or two events. And now I participated at national level in Port Elizabeth, Quebeca.
Yeah, yeah.
And yes, and so I'm hoping to go to the World Games. I've qualified for 2 events. So yes.
Have you always been an athlete before your transplant? Did you? I mean, you're playing more track and field, if I understand it. Did you do track and field before?
No, I did road running before.
Right.
Yes, so that was my sporting code that I did before the transplant.
And so obviously you had an interest to carry on staying active, to keep doing sport, and landed with transplant sports, and you were able to carry on doing what you love.
Yes, also we are encouraged to stay fit, and as our bodies can allows us to. So it's a way for us to also stay healthy.
So you were telling me a little bit that you have to have, there's a time frame, you can't just have a transplant and immediately start doing sport. You have to wait a little bit.
Yes, for most transplant athletes, when you've had your transplant, there's a risk period that you could go into rejection or your transplant could fail.
Yeah.
So it's recommended that you wait a whole year before you attempt participating. Yes.
We've done so many interviews with transplant sports over the last few years. Athletes, Vivian de Klerk and Rachel LaRue, and of course many others that have had quite a lot of success. They've brought back world championship medals, gold medals, silver medals, bronze medals. The transplant sports community is a vibrant, exciting family structure. Have you now had an opportunity to meet this new family?
Yes, I did. First at the Western Province level. I met quite a lot of people there now, and we all have the same goals, we all have the same challenges. And at national level, the same thing. We met people from Gauteng, KZN, and yes, it was exciting to meet everybody, and we all speak the same language.
Yeah.
You know.
And so, tell us a little bit about your training. I mean, if you're doing track and field, what are the codes that you do?
I discovered this sort of by accident because I was road, and road didn't work after the transplant. So I sort of swerved over into field more.
Okay.
So I've discovered at national level that I was actually very good in the discus.
Yeah.
And so I'm focusing on discus and shot put more. I'm a bit challenged with the javelin, but I'm hoping to master the javelin. Yeah. And there's an event called ball throw. That's a little cricket ball that you can use to throw specific distances. So I'm hoping to master that also. Yeah. So that's the 4 field throw events that I participate in. Not so much the track anymore. Yeah. So that's where I'm finding myself.
So how do you train? When you're doing discus or some of the other codes, how do you train? Do you go down to the local athletics club and join in with them and throw some discus, or do you throw discus in the garden? Or
no, I go to Bellville track, and I work with a coach called Zayn Lamara.
Yeah.
And he works with me 3 days a week.
Okay.
On technique, a lot of technique work.
Yes.
And then once a week I go to the Sports Science in Newlands, and I work with a personal trainer there for strength training.
Yeah. I mean, Sports Science Institute in Newlands, you've obviously got the best there.
Yes.
They're in fact one of our partners in the Confederation space, where we look after the athletes, the high performance athletes. So when you go there, do you work with the biokinetists, or do they test you and all that?
I have when I started initially was with a bio, but I've since switched over to a personal trainer, Marvin Jacobs. So, and I know him from way back when. So yes, we work well together, and he's really strengthened me. He's strengthened me a lot. I'm very confident working with him.
Yeah, he's absolutely amazing personal trainer, great skills, fantastic personality.
Yes.
When you walk in there, he's always saying hello and welcome, and
I call him the mayor of the gym.
he's the mayor of the gym. I'm sure he's going to enjoy that we're talking about him tonight. But then, so tell us a little bit about Quebec. I mean, you went up there to compete in the South African Championships. That's not a small event.
No, it was big. I think Jan Marais, our secretary at national level, in one of his messages, I think he said there was 84 athletes that competed.
Yeah.
So it was a very warm event. We had good accommodation. Everybody staying in the same hotel. We had a nice walk on the beach, awareness, organ donation awareness. So we had that organization there as well.
Was it stressful? I mean, you're coming up against champions from other provinces, or was it more relaxed?
No. For me, it was just, I was just so in awe of being here and being able to be given this opportunity.
Fantastic.
There was nothing. It was just, for me, it was just a happy environment to be in. It took the pressure off competing.
Yeah. Well, I love what you just said, a happy environment with no pressure, but you're still competing.
Yes.
So is Transplant Sports, the organization, I mean, there's many people I think out there that have had a transplant that don't know that if you did sport and you had a transplant, it doesn't end there. You can carry on doing the sport you love.
Yes. In fact, one of the ladies that was in my renal unit, she is a road runner. And I've been encouraging her to come onto the organization, but she says her work schedule is just too hectic. Yeah. So, you know, for some people, I think that's their challenge, that they can't get into it. For me, fortunately, I have a very flexi schedule, so and we make time. I want to make time for this because it's for me another chance.
You mentioned to me that there's some qualifications coming up. I mean, next year is the World Championships in Australia. With, as I said before, we've seen a number of our transplant athletes go overseas to the international transplant games. World champs and then next year. Have you got your eyes set on that?
Yes, of course, I'm definitely going.
Yeah.
It's not even a question of will I go. I am going.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm definitely competing in discus and shot put at the World Games, but I'm not sure about the javelin.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping to qualify for the javelin
and
within
the
next 2
throw,
weeks.
Are you planning on doing the ball throw?
I'm going to attempt it. So I'll see. So those are the things that I would like to go and participate for my country.
So I know that you're working with the guys at the Sports Science Institute and of course at the Belleville track as well. Do you now need to start thinking about a sort of a high performance preparation plan before Australia next year?
I don't know. My coach was Zain, the track coach, was talking the other day about my training, and so I just said to him, he must speak to Marvin. The two of them must see what else is needed now, because after this qualification rounds, then we'll obviously now go into more intense training to make sure that I'm ready for. I think Rensha mentioned, our chair lady, that there's a training camp in January for all the athletes that will now go to World Games. So I think they also do some type of training. I'm not familiar. It's my first time in this. So
you've qualified. You're ready to go.
I think so. I'm ready. I'm ready. Passport's ready.
For folks that want to join Transplant Sports, what would you say? What's the best way to do that? Is it a question of going to the website, doing a search on Facebook?
Yes, I think we're very visible on Instagram, Facebook. There's a website, Western Cape Transplant Sports. So it's not difficult to find us. Just type in Transplant Sports. It will come up, whether it's India, whether it's America, it will come up. And you can sign up or contact our organization.
Mary-Ann, it's been great having you in the studio. We're looking forward to many, the more we talk about it, the more people will hopefully join the transplant sports structures, and I think you're going to have some tough competition out there.
Oh, yes, of course. They must come. Thank you for having me.
There we go, folks. Transplant Sports, Western Cape, really doing fantastic. And, of course, the World Games next year. They've recently had the National Championships in Quebec. And as Mary-Ann said, just do a search on Facebook for Transplant Sports, or go to the Western Cape Transplant Sports .co.za website, or in fact to the SATSA, I believe, South African Transplant Sports Association website, and go and find out how to join. If you have had a transplant and you love sport, then the Transplant Sports Association is the place for you. Fantastic family structure. They really, really are doing an amazing job. Folks, we'll take an ad break. When we come back, we'll take a look at what happened at the Central Karoo Sport Awards. This was, of course, just outside Beaufort West last week, Friday. We'll be back in a sec. Don't go away.